Hello everybody, this is Major7. Welcome to my new channel. I'm talking about a new channel because I've already got one that is music related, being myself a musician. You can find links in the description. But in this new channel I would like to talk a little bit about Italy, about the Italian culture, possibly about the Italian language. There are so many people traveling to Italy every year, and there are so many videos on YouTube talking about stereotypes and about what to do and don't in Italy as tourists. What I want to check with you is whether they are accurate or not from an Italian perspective. Being myself 100% Italian, I was born in Milan, my dad is from Milan, my mom is from Campania, that is a region in the south of Italy, and I was fully bred 100% in Italy. I've just had the chance to travel abroad a little bit, but I've never actually lived abroad. So I was born and raised in Italy, and I want to check whether these videos are accurate or whether they insist too much on certain stereotypes. So let's check together a video called The Don'ts of Visiting Italy. Let's see if it's accurate or not. Let's go.
Ciao, fellow travelers. Mark here with Walter's World, and we're in Vicenza, my hometown here in Italy.
Vicenza.
Fantastic people, great place. And the thing is, when you're in Italy, there's things you should do, but there's things you don't do when you're here. So what we have today are a list of 10 don'ts about visiting Italy. And the first don't is one thing: if you're looking to go shopping when you're here, don't expect to be able to get Gucci and Armani a lot cheaper here in Italy than you can other places. I met a lot of tourists on the plane and they're all excited. I'm gonna go to Armani and get some new clothes and Gucci and get some new clothes because it's gonna be so cheap because it's in Italy. Wrong. They have this called standardized pricing, and so it's kind of the same price everywhere you go in the world. So if you're
Whatever. I think that this happens everywhere. Expensive stuff is expensive. It doesn't change from country to country, especially when you're talking about luxury brands such as these ones.
buying it here or in the US or Canada or wherever, the prices are pretty similar.
This is a super interesting tradition. This place is in Milan. There is this thing on the floor. It's a tradition to put your heel on the where the balls of the bull are supposed to be, and to spin 3 times with your heel there. And so I've done it myself quite a few times.
So your best bet might be just to go buy it online, okay? I'm not going to warn you. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Don't expect to get great deals on Italian products when you're here. You might make some money up in the exchange rate, but overall, not too many deals here. Second don't. This is for my tourists. Look, if you're looking to eat in Italy, don't eat at tourist locations. I know that's kind of an obvious one, but you're going to see, whether you're in Rome or Venice and all kinds of stuff, there's lots of tourist menus that are out there, and there's lots of tourist restaurants right at those sites. And the thing is, you go there, you're not going to have the most authentic food. You're not going to have the best Italian food out there. You're going to have kind of a tourist version of things, and it can be kind of a rip-off. I know in Pisa, you know, for Caleb, I told him I will go to Pisa to eat pizza, okay? So he thought that was funny. He was like 2. He's like, oh, you're eating pizza in Pisa, which, you know, corny me, it worked out. But the thing was, the service was horrible, the pizza wasn't very good, and that's what happens.
Yeah, generally speaking, this is valid for Italians as well. Whenever you travel to other Italian cities, you don't want, usually, I think that's my opinion, to look for restaurants and pubs that are too close to interesting places, to touristic places. You might want to walk a little bit and go a little bit further from the touristic places, and there you might find something that is definitely better food, probably cheaper, because around these places the prices skyrocket. So yeah, I agree.
And what's cool in Italy is all these cities, yes, it's tourist stuff, but there's also people living and working there at the same time. And if you go a few blocks away from the tourist locations, you can get authentic food with authentic people, eating with
exactly
the locals,
what I was saying.
and it is great. So that's why I say don't eat in those tourist locations, and I make a special point to mention that. Now, the third don't we have also deals with the restaurant, and in Italy you don't tip because service is usually included, or what you might see is they might have coperta, which is the covered charge, okay? And it might be €1 or €2 or €3.
It's not called coperta, it's called coperto, because it's masculine. And coperta is something that, it's a blanket, it's something that you would put on yourself to cover yourself. But yeah, usually restaurants charge you €1.5, €2 for bread, basically, and for the service, generally speaking. But yeah, it's not common to tip waiters in Italy. You might do it. I've worked as a waiter and I've had my share of tips, but it's not common at all. And this is a problem for Italians traveling outside of Italy because we are not used to giving tips. And so it's mind-blowing the fact that we might have to pay 10% more as a form of tip. It's just strange for us because we don't do it here.
Euros depending where you go, and that's for like the bread and the plates and the knives and stuff like that.
Okay.
And you have that, and that's kind of what the tip is included in, and that you don't have to tip on top of it. Now, if you want to tip, no one's going to stop you, but the Italians traditionally don't tip because you have the cover or the service is already included. But just remember, don't tip. You can if you want to, and they'll be very happy to take it, but you don't have to. Now, the fourth don't is don't expect that speaking louder in English will help the Italians understand you. Look, Italians aren't necessarily the best at foreign languages, including English. And the thing is, you'll see when you're in Italy, the people are very excited. I mean, I get excited talking about Italy. And the thing is, they talk loud. They talk really loud, just like we Americans. So that's why we
Yeah, that tends to be true. It might be a little bit more true in lively places. So I'm talking, I know it's a stereotype as well, but in the south of Italy and in the center of Italy, they tend to be louder. That's for sure. But that doesn't mean that in the north of Italy you don't get loud people. It's extremely common.
We love each other so much, but don't think that you just speaking louder will help them understand. So what you need to do is before you come to Italy, learn a few words before you come. You know, grazie, thank you, or prego, you're welcome, or simple words like that make a big difference. You know, buongiorno, good day, or hello, and you'll be surprised by speaking a little Italian how it really opens up the people, because the Italians are fantastic, and even if you don't speak Italian, they're still going to communicate with you, but if you know a few words, it goes a really long way. But you don't have to speak loud to let them understand.
Okay.
Now the fifth don't is, don't worry about being overdressed. Look, the Italians dress immaculately. I mean, even the little kids have better style than you or me. Well, it's not hard to be better than me, so don't worry about it. So make sure if you come here, make sure you're dressing nicely, because what can happen is, if you're going to Piazza San Marco and you want to see the Basilica San Marco in Venice, if you're wearing skimpy clothes, they won't let you in. Okay, so
this is actually not really about Italy as a country itself. It's just that you can't go wearing clothes that are not proper for the place, the situation, especially in religious places. So that's the fact. If you want to enter Duomo in Milan or Basilica di San Marco in Venice, you should wear proper clothes for the place. It's not a cultural thing, it's a religious thing.
Make sure you do dress a little bit nicer if you are going to come here. Now, if you're going to go to Rimini and go to the beach, it's not really a big deal, but you don't really have to be being overdressed, because you can always dress higher here and you still will look underdressed compared to the locals. The sixth don't we have is, don't just do the Rome, Florence, Venice trip, okay? There are so many cute towns and villages throughout Italy, and you don't really get to experience the whole culture if you're just going to tourist meccas of Rome, Florence, and Venice. I mean, Venice gets 20 million tourists, but there's only like 50,000 people living there that are actually from Venice. So you want to go to other towns like here in Vicenza, but there's so many locals, you get to know the culture. Ravenna, I mean, you can go to Rimini, which is a big tourist joint. Hour away, you can go to Ravenna, and it's just beautiful there with all their, 5th century church.
I've got friends in Ravenna, but I have never actually visited it, so I am looking forward to doing so. And hello, Ste, if you're watching me.
And stuff like that. Lucca in Tuscany, another hour and a half away from Florence. I mean, you can get to these fabulous little towns to really see true Italian culture.
One of the first concerts I've been to was in Lucca, and it was the Eagles, probably 25 years ago. I was a kid.
Without tons of tourists, very easily, so make sure you don't just do those. Yes, you've got to see Rome and Florence and Venice, but don't miss out on some of those smaller towns and smaller villages to really see true Italian culture and really just fall in love with it. Go to Bassano di Grappa and have grappa on the bridge, or Marostica, where you can play.
It's not Bassano di Grappa, it's Bassano del Grappa, but yeah, it's not that far from here actually.
chess, and be human chess sets. I mean, it's really cool, but don't miss out on that, because that's what really gets you to fall in love with Italy, is seeing the real Italy, not just the tourist Italy. Now, the seventh thing is one that my American friends have a really tough time with, and that is in Italy, you don't share your pizza. Look, in the U.S., I know we get a pizza, you tell your buddy, hey, Fernando, what kind of pizza you want? Jocelyn,
wait a second.
we get a pizza, you tell your buddy.
You don't share your pizza in Italy, and you don't eat it with your fingers? Yes, you do eat it with your fingers. Let's hear.
Hey, Fernando, what kind of pizza you want? Jocelyn, what do we get? And you have to debate between your friends what pizza you're going to get. Here in Italy, you get your own pizza.
Yeah,
and yes,
true.
it is a big pizza. And you know what? You don't eat it with your hands. You eat it with a fork and knife.
No, that's
and
not true. That's not true. That's absolutely not true. I would say that maybe 5% of people eat it with a fork and a knife, but the other people would eat it with their hands, and that's so typical. And it's not always true that we don't share our pizza. It's pretty common, especially if you are ordering home delivery pizza, to order a big pizza that is called pizza famiglia, that is usually for 3 people, 4 people, and you just cut it into slices and everybody gets his own slice. You might put different ingredients on different parts of the pizza, so it's actually not that, it's not impossible to share pizza, but if you go to the restaurant, yes, it's much more common to order your own pizza. Maybe you want to share a slice, so you give one slice of yours to a friend and he or she gives you their slice, but yeah, it's not like we take different pizzas and just share. There is a solution that is close to that one now that I think about it, that is called Giro Pizza, that some restaurants do. They just bring different pizzas until you can eat for a fixed price, and so you get one slice of this, one slice of that, so it's not impossible. But yeah, generally speaking, we order our own pizza for ourselves.
This really shocks a lot of the Americans that come here, because they're like, wait, I don't share my pizza? Well, you can, but you don't. You have it for yourself. So don't share that pizza, get exactly what you want, and tell the other person if they want pizza, they can get their own.
Yeah.
No sharing.
No sharing.
Now, my 8th don't for you is don't take the Freccia if you're going short distances. Now, if you're not sure what the Freccia is, or Italo, these are the really fast trains, and they can be really pricey if you're going a short distance. Yeah. For example, from here, Vicenza to Venice, I can take the Freccia, and I'll be there like in 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Yeah, if I take the local train, I'm there like in 45 minutes. But the thing is, the price is significantly more. Yeah. So don't take those Freccias for the short trips. Take them for the long trips, because you do make up the time if you're coming from Rome up to Venice and things like that. Yeah. That can make a difference. Or if you're going down to Bari from Rome, it does make a difference taking those Freccias. Yeah. And the Freccias, more or less, are on time. Whereas the local trains, on time is relative. Let's just...
Yeah, I live in a part of Italy that is not served by the national system, but by a regional system called Trenord. And I have never been a commuter, so I was lucky enough not to have to deal with trains too much, but my friends who go to Milan to study or work, they complained a lot about trains being late by 30 minutes, 45 minutes, hours sometimes. So yeah, local trains tend to be late, let's put it this way, while Frecciarossa, Frecciargento, Frecciabianca, that are these kind of faster trains, tend to be much more on time. That's true.
Say, okay? Now, the 9th don't I have for you when you come to Italy is don't order spaghetti and meatballs. Look, in Italy, they have spaghetti and they have meatballs, but they're not together. Because what you have is primi piatti, the first plates, and secondo piatti, the second plates. Those first plates, that's pasta. And after you finish that, they bring the second plate, which is the meat that's here, okay? So you don't actually put those two together. If you want your spaghetti and meatball kind of flavor, get spaghetti bolognese. And what basically it is imagine that spaghetti and meatballs you have at home, but they smash up the meatballs into a meat sauce.
Okay, I think that you are mostly familiar with ragu. That is this minced meat with vegetables cooked and tomato sauce cooked for a pretty long time, usually 3-4 hours. And yes, that is much more common, but I would not say that it's impossible to eat pasta with meatballs in Italy, because that has always been part of the dishes that my mum would prepare from time to time. So yeah, to me, for example, this thing, I've heard it so many times that in Italy you don't eat pasta and meatballs. it's uncommon to find it in restaurants, that's for sure. But I think that family cuisine or some parts of Italy, some traditions from Italy might eat pasta with meatballs. That's the case for my family, that's the case for me. But yes, there are other kinds of Italian, supposedly Italian food, especially in the United States, that you cannot find in Italy, such as mac and cheese or salsa Alfredo. That is not a thing in Italy. It doesn't exist. But for pasta and meatballs, I would say that it's possible to find it, especially if you're talking about baked pasta. That is a kind of pasta that you would cook a little bit less in the water, then you would put in a container together with other ingredients and bake for 10-15 minutes. In that kind of pasta, it's pretty common to put meatballs. So yeah, it's possible.
That's what you're going to get. Now, some people will say, oh, there's places in Italy that have spaghetti and meatballs. Yes, when there's a lot of American tourists, they actually have started to put that.
Oh,
I went to a
well,
restaurant
yeah,
today that was
maybe.
across the street from the U.S. base, and they have a big thing say, Italy and America, and the thing on the top of their list was spaghetti and meatballs, and then
gosh.
macaroni and cheese.
Mac
Two
and
things
cheese,
that, yes,
ah,
we think of Italian in
they don't
America,
exist.
but it is not Italian here, so don't order spaghetti and meatballs
Yeah.
together when you're here. Separate, totally fine. Together, no.
Yeah.
The 10th don't we have for you, actually I have a few more than 10. The 10th don't I have for you is don't expect a big breakfast in Italy. Breakfast in Italy is
Yeah,
usually like an
that's true.
espresso and maybe a piece of bread and some butter. That's what they traditionally
like
have.
a
So
croissant.
you're gonna be a little hungry if you're staying with Italians and stuff like that. But your hotels, usually they'll be fine and they'll take care of you. They'll have the full like spread of American breakfast and stuff like
Yeah, definitely. In hotels and such, you find continental breakfast and American breakfast and whatever. But yes, as Italian, we are not usually used to eating that much for breakfast. For example, I don't have breakfast. I drink coffee in the morning and that's it. But I know it's not exactly a super healthy habit. Other people might eat some cereal, some yogurt, drink some milk, or some people have eggs in the morning or fruit. So yeah, we tend to not to eat too much in the morning and then to eat maybe more for lunch and for dinner.
like that. Not a big deal, but just know a typical Italian breakfast doesn't have much there. A coffee and a little biscotti, and you're on your way,
Biscotti.
okay? Now, the 11th thing
Cookies.
don't I have for
Or
you is
biscuits.
don't expect a lot of space. Italy is very compact with all the stuff going on. So when you're going to be going on the trains, the seats are going to be a little bit smaller. The luggage racks are going to be a little smaller, and you'll see all these tourists with these big bags.
Yeah, if you're talking about local trains, that's for sure, because they are not supposed to be trains for tourists, let's put it this way. So you have these train racks that don't really fit big luggages. But if you're traveling on a Frecciarossa, the trains that he was talking about before, there you would have some space for bigger luggages. Yeah, so it's probably a problem with local trains and the such.
You can't necessarily have that.
You can work in a better way now.
There we go. See, that's how nice the Italians
There's
are.
some
Comes up,
spritz.
gives me a spritz while I'm going, oh, spritz Aperol. Don't forget to get one of these if you're in
Yeah.
Veneto. It's Prosecco, bubble water, and Aperol. Fantastic.
Yeah. It's been it's actually spread to all of Italy probably 15 years ago, I would say. Before it was a little bit harder to find it, but before that I was not even in a legal age to drink, so how would I know?
You see why I love Italy? These people are awesome, okay? No, but seriously, with the space, just know, restaurant space, hotel spaces, train spaces, all these things, they are limited, so pack light. And we've actually sent a lot of boxes back from Italy. It takes some time for the boxes to get there. But they've all
Yeah, compared to the United States where everything is bigger, I think about streets and roads, and when I had an American friend who came to Italy and stayed here for a whole year, and I remember that he went crazy about how we drove in tiny and narrow streets, and he would say that it would be impossible for him to actually calculate the space between the car and the obstacles whatever might be on the sides, and I guess it's different, the perception of spaces and
always got
these
back to
things.
the US, no problem. So that's a nice thing. But just know you're gonna have a lot of cramped up space, and on the trains when they have like kind of smaller sections for luggage, it can be a bit problematic. So be prepared for that, okay? And the 12th thing I have for you is don't expect to get food after 3 o'clock. Look,
yeah,
here in Italy,
yeah,
the
yeah, that's
restaurants
true.
kind of open up for lunch from noon until 3,
Yeah,
and then the
3
restaurant closes from
it's even late. Most restaurants would accept guests up until 2, I would say.
from 3 to 7, sometimes 8 o'clock at night, and then dinner is from 7 to 8 o'clock at night till 11 or 12. And I know if you're coming from the US, you know, our dinner time is like 5, 6, maybe 7 o'clock. Here, you don't have that. Now, the thing is, if you want to get fast food places or Pizza Italia, like pizza on the go, like, you know, with in a plate, you can do that. But in general, you're not going to get food between 3 and 7, so make sure you get your lunch at the right time and your dinner at the right time so you can enjoy the fantastic food that's here. My personal favorite here in Vicenza is bigoli con arna, like thick spaghetti noodles with duck sauce. It's
I
fantastic.
think he wanted to say bigoli con carne. Let me hear that one.
Vicenza is bigoli con arna, like
Con arna? I don't know, maybe he mispronounced it simply.
thick spaghetti noodles with duck sauce. It's fantastic.
Oh,
Yes, the pizza
anatra,
is awesome.
Anatra, okay, it's duck sauce, so yeah, it's anatra. Okay, I get it.
You know, you should have it. Oh, and another thing with the pizzas. The traditional pizzerias actually, they're only open at night. More started opening during the day now, but if you want pizza during the day, you go to that Pizza Italia place and you buy like by the kilo. You say, I want this much of pepperoni or this much of pear and gorgonzola. They cut it, weigh it, cook it, and give it to you. And it tastes fine. Anyway, I don't want to let this go to waste. So you don't miss your chance to go to Italy. It is a fantastic place. The people are awesome. The food is fantastic. I love it. You'll love it too. Take my word for it. And ciao from Vicenza.
Okay, okay.
God, I love this place.
Yeah, okay, this was pretty interesting, and I would say also pretty accurate. Okay, there were a couple of things that I didn't agree with, but generally speaking, he gave a good overview of some of the aspects you might want to take into consideration when traveling to Italy. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and I hope that you like this first video on this channel. I am planning to do more, and if so, please let me know in the comments and consider subscribing to this channel for more content related to Italy and its culture, and let me know if you want me to talk about something that you might be curious about. Alright, thank you all for watching again. Bye bye, by Major 7.